Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Shiram. I'm from Canada, Ontario. I'm 55 and I decided to retire when I turned 55. In this video, I will explain why I chose Turkey as a destination for potential retirement or even staying longer. So stay with me as I discuss pros and cons from my perspective and a sneak preview of the cost of living in Turkey. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I would like to ask you to please subscribe. Pros. Number one, weather. If you live in Canada, especially in Ontario, you would understand what I'm talking about. During the winter time here in Ontario, you can have temperatures like -20, -30, sometimes even -40 for a few days or a few weeks in a row. So it was a no-brainer to me that the location that I would choose has to have a good weather during the winter time as well. So for that reason, Turkey was a potential candidate. Especially the cities by the Mediterranean Sea, they have mild winter. So mild is of course relative, but from my perspective, having temperatures between 7 to 14, 15 degrees are considered pretty mild actually. So you can really walk by the water, with a light jacket and enjoy the weather and the scenery. The second thing that was really impressive about Turkey, and this was my personal experience as well, was how good the infrastructure in Turkey is. And it didn't matter if you were in modern cities or if you were driving, for example, in a mountainous area. The road conditions were impeccable. Really very good roads. I would not even for a moment feel unsafe driving those roads. The other thing that was really very impressive as well was how good the internet coverage and the mobile network was. Wherever you were, you had good connection, you could reach good internet speeds, and of course that was vital to me when I was looking on the map, Google Map for example, to find my destinations. The third impressive point is the transportation and how good and affordable it is. You have all the transport options available in Turkey. In the cities, you have the metros, you have the buses, you have the trams, depending on what city you're at, and of course, a good taxi connection. If you want to travel between the cities in Turkey, the Turkish airline actually provides very affordable flights. I think they start something between 400 Turkish lira, which is something about 35 Canadian dollars. Very, very affordable in my opinion. You can also use the intercity buses that are pretty frequently drive between the different cities, and they're also very, very affordable. Of course, you can have also a rental car. So in each city where I was, there were lots of options to have a rental car as well, and they're really not very expensive. They start at something around $20 per day, including the insurance. The next important point to me was that the destination that I would stay longer or I would retire has a very good healthcare system, and Turkey is one of those. Turkey provides a very good public health care, but in addition to that, you can also buy very affordable private health care as well. If you become a resident of Turkey, you can use the public health care, but in addition to that, you can acquire also private health insurance, which would give you more options. But the public health care seems to be very good, and it covers everything that a person would need. So, and how about the safety? Turkey is really very safe. I never felt unsafe there. It didn't matter if I was driving or if I was walking, during the day, during the evening, during the night, I never ever felt unsafe. That is a big, big plus. And of course, when you stay long-term in a country, you also want to have the options to go around and explore the country. Turkey is a fantastic destination for that. It has lots of history. It has beautiful nature. You know, you have beautiful mountains, beautiful rivers, beautiful waterfalls, beautiful cities, and of course also beautiful ancient sites that you can go and visit. Lots of history there. So I don't think that you would ever get bored if you live in Turkey for a few years. Last but not least, the cost of living. This is one of the major factors when you retire, of course. The housing is pretty affordable. The entertainment is very affordable. Grocery prices are very, very affordable, especially if you do your grocery shoppings at farmers market. Now let's talk about the negative points about Turkey. The very first thing coming in mind is that you cannot drink the tap water. It's not a big deal because you can buy really very cheap and affordable water bottles, but at the same time, this is something to consider. The second thing about Turkey is the economy. See, the fluctuating currency is, on one point, is positive. On the other hand, is really negative. Positive for people who have their income from abroad, and really negative for people who have their income from within Turkey. For example, when I was in Turkey in February, 1 Canadian dollar was about 10.5 Turkish lira. Today, 1 Canadian dollar is about 11.7 Turkish lira. That's a huge jump. But at the same time, again, as I mentioned, you know, if you have your income from, for example, Canada, it would not affect you that much. Yet though, that's something to consider. Gas prices. I had a rental car for the entire month of February in Turkey. 1 liter of regular petrol gas was about 14 Turkish lira. Today, 1 liter is about 20 Turkish lira. So that's a huge jump, even though, you know, the petrol prices have gone up almost in every region and every country. But I think the jump in Turkey is very considerable. The second thing that you need also to consider is the rent hikes. You know, generally the rents in Turkey are not very high, but at the same time, it makes a huge difference if you pay something around $300 to $400 a month, and suddenly within a few months or a year, you have to pay double of that, or even triple of that. I found stray dogs and stray cats a bit annoying, to be honest with you. They are kind of friendly. It's not a big deal. They're everywhere, actually, in public. But the point is, when you go to a restaurant, they come even to the restaurants, and they ask for food. And people are very friendly, and they give them food. So this is a cycle. People give food, dogs and cats come to the restaurants. For some people, this is not a problem, but for me, I thought it was really annoying. The other thing you need to get used to is the prayer call. The prayer call happens 4 or 5 times a day or during the night. And sometimes, depending on where you live, it can happen that you have dogs around you, you know, on the street, and when the prayer call goes on, the dogs start barking as well. So it can really interrupt your sleep. Sometimes during the night, dogs chase cats, and that makes lots of noise. In any case, it really interrupts all the time your sleep, and this is something that I found very unpleasant. The other thing you need to be aware of is the housing. Many of the houses in Turkey are old, and the structure of these houses are not great. There is no insulation, so if it's warm, it's really hot inside. If it's cold, it's really cold inside. And the noise is like, okay, you're living in the middle of the street. And those houses you can see everywhere actually in cities or, even outside of the cities. For example, the first week I stayed in a very nice area, Konyaaltı, in Antalya. It's supposed to be a kind of, higher class area, I would say. But the house had absolutely no insulation, so you could really hear your neighbors, you could hear cars on the street, you could hear everything, basically. So, and the most annoying part, at least from my perspective, was smoking. I have the feeling that almost everybody in Turkey smokes. And the problem is not only that people smoke a lot, is also where people smoke. So most of the restaurants, they don't have the different sections for smokers or non-smokers. And even if they have these sections, still, the smoke comes through the sections where people are non-smokers. This is really annoying. If you live in apartments, you will have the smell of the smoke almost everywhere, including in your apartment. People smoke in the hallways, people smoke in elevator, people smoke basically in common areas. And if you're a non-smoker, this is really something that you cannot tolerate, but you don't have any choice. This is a common thing and behavior in Turkey, and you have to deal with it. Let's talk about the cost of living in Turkey. As an example, I took the city of Antalya. So the city of Antalya is not very cheap, but it's also not very expensive. Istanbul is much more expensive, but for example, other cities like Alanya are a bit cheaper. So most of the time, the big difference is in the term of accommodation, where you live. For a very good location in Antalya, that could be, for example, Lara or Konyaaltı neighborhood, for a 2-bedroom apartment, about 75 square meter and furnished, you have to pay something around $800 to $1,000 per month. For the utilities, you have to pay extra. The utilities include gas, hydro, or electricity, and water. For that, you have to calculate something around $100 a month. The next category is cell phone. I had a prepaid plan with Turkcell that costed me about 350 Turkish lira, which was about 35 Canadian dollar. That included 200 minutes of talk, unlimited texting, and 30 gigabyte of fast internet. Of course, if you stay longer, you can go with plan-based options that are much cheaper actually. But for the month that I stayed there, this was the best option and the only option actually available. The next category is transportation. I rented a car for the entire month when I stayed in Turkey. The rental car, which was an economy car, but it was a very good car, I have to say, it costed about 550 Canadian dollar, and that included also the insurance. But because of the good transportation, public transportation in Turkey, you can also choose to use buses or taxis. A one-way bus ticket will cost you something about 50 cents, Canadian cents. If you want to buy a monthly pass, it will cost you about $35. This is very affordable. If you want to buy a car, this is where things get actually very expensive. Cars in Turkey are considered an investment. They're very expensive. So for a used car, you can pay thousands of dollars. For example, if you have a Volkswagen Jetta from 2007, that has about 200K of mileage, you would still pay something around $6,000 to $7,000 for that car. If you want to have a BMW, a 3 Series of BMW, for example, a 320, with about 135,000 mileage on it, it will cost you about $45,000 to $50,000 to buy. And this would be year maybe 2013, 2012. And now the best part, grocery shopping. So groceries in Turkey are very affordable, I found. I would definitely suggest to go to farmer's market for your weekly grocery shopping. You can probably calculate for 2 people, a couple basically, about $200 a month, buying at the farmer's market. For some of items, you have to go to supermarkets. For example, if you want to buy personal care items, if you want to buy alcoholic drinks, or if you want to buy, for example, cooking oil. For that, you would go to the supermarkets. I would estimate about $150 to $200 a month for grocery shopping at the supermarkets. The prices of the personal care and hygiene are very similar to the Canadian prices we have here. I think the reason for that is probably that they must be imported from other countries. For domestic beer, you pay something around $2 to $2.50 per bottle. The bottles are normally about 0.5 liter. For wine, you have to calculate something between $5 to $8 or $9 for domestic wine. Imported wines are very, very expensive. For a similar wine that you pay in Canada, something around $10 to $12, you can budget in about 2 to 3 times in Turkey. So what about sport? I play tennis. I love tennis. The tennis in Turkey is very affordable, actually. For 1 hour tennis, you pay something about $7 to $8. For entertainment, you have to calculate in about $100 for a couple. And that would include occasional dining out in a mid-range restaurant, or having some drinks, in a cafe, or sitting by the sea, enjoying the scenery and drinking some Turkish tea or coffee. So let us summarize the cost of living. That's what we talked about. For a 2-bedroom apartment in a very nice location, furnished, you have to calculate something about $800 a month. For the utilities, about $100 a month. For groceries at farmers market and supermarkets, you have to calculate about $400 a month. For the transport, you can calculate something around $100 a month, which would include 2 monthly passes, plus some occasional taxi rides. So in total, you're looking at about $1,500 a month for a couple. Of course, this does not include a few things. For example, your health insurance. See, in the first year when you become a resident of Turkey, you still have to buy a private health care. And a private health care, obviously, it depends on many factors, on your condition, on your preconditions, on your age, and so on and so forth. But as a rule of thumb, you have to calculate something between, I guess, $300 to $4,000 per year. If you are 55 and if you are healthy, no preconditions, your health insurance, private health insurance per year would be something around $700 to $800. What about car insurance if you own a car? There is a mandatory insurance in Turkey for car drivers. The name is traffic insurance. The traffic insurance is something between $70 to $90 a year, depending on where you live and what region. Of course, it depends also on what type of car you have and so on and so forth. But in general, it's something between $70 to $90 a year. So the question is Turkey a good place to retire or stay long term? I can say from my perspective, It is definitely a destination that I can go and live for a year or two and to explore different parts of Turkey and enjoy the nice weather, you know, the history of Turkey, the food, basically everything in Turkey. But I don't think that I would consider it as a serious candidate to stay forever or to retire. And the reason for that is Turkey is not stable enough from the economy point of view, in my opinion, that I can plan long term. So just in the last few months, if you look at the currency has suffered a lot. And as a result, the rents have doubled or tripled in some locations. That means that whatever you budget in is not going to be enough for the next year and the next year and the next year. So is it easy to plan living in a country when you don't know what your costs are going to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now? I think it's not that easy in Turkey. So thank you for watching. I hope this video could provide you some information and insight in about Turkey. And if you decide to go to Turkey, if you like, you can ask your question in the comment below, and I will try to answer them as much as I can. Until then, stay safe and see you soon. Bye.